Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Amateur Hour Commentary Finals for Alvo League. Get your snacks, get your seats as Trauma takes on Death Squad 101. Who is going to be the victor? Find out. Put your hands together and welcome your casters.
Welcome everyone to Amateur Hour Commentary. I'm the Wolf Craze, and joining me, of course, is the one only Plank. How's it going, dude?
Good evening, young man. How the devil are you? How excited are you?
I'm so excited we got dressed up for the occasion.
I can't remember last time I actually wore this. I can't breathe in it, mate. I think I'm going to lose about 18 stone next time I wear this.
It's so funny because I was thinking the same thing. This was tailor fitted to me, and I don't feel like it's tailor fitted anymore.
Oh my gosh! Doing esports, mate, you don't have to do a lot of running about.
Well, we got the final match of the season between Trauma and Death Squad, and this was originally supposed to take place in week 6, but of course, discussion was had in the Test League server, and everybody kind of agreed, like the 1-2 spot, let's hold it off till the last week, and so here we are. But there was a bit of a tumultuous week for both teams in week 7. I mean, I believe, if I recall correctly, Trauma had lost 2 rounds, and Death Squad had lost 1.
Makes it interesting, doesn't it? You think they'd take that 2-point lead into the final, but then was it Hex?
Hex
managed to nick that very, very important point. So it's all to play for. I can't wait. I just can't wait. I can't call it. And I'm not just saying that stay on the fence. I'm saying that because I honestly do not believe I can call this one way or the other.
It is absolutely so close in terms of performance for both of these teams, all the way up until week 6. Both were undefeated. They were tied for first place. And because of the results of week 7, Death Squad has narrowly taken the lead. And I say narrowly because if you look at the stats in general, which we'll go over a couple in a moment, but they narrowly took the lead, and it's not by a significant margin. And let's just be honest, both of these teams have completely decimated the other teams. I don't want to say decimated as in like necessarily steamrolled, but come on, they kind of steamrolled everybody all the way up to week 6. It was 6-0 sweeps the entire time, and that's not really speaking to the other team's performance because they did put up a good fight, but a 6-0 sweep every single week is something to write home about.
It's impressive. I mean, you can dig into the stats and you can say, yes, some teams give them a slightly better, a tougher run than others. But end of the day, you get that point. That's the point that's, that takes you on to that 6-0 win. So, yeah, there's been some close ones, but they've always seemed to, manage to get that final point on the board when needed. And like you say, only dropping 3 points in the whole, between them two teams is incredible.
Now, I want to give a fair shout out to everybody who is watching. We got people over on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Also over on Big Screen, which a lot of you have decided to watch this event over on Big Screen, and I hear it's quite a party. Hopefully in the future, we can get someone streaming that and we can give a fair shout out on screen.
Count me in as a roving reporter. I'd love to go around the seats and just get reactions as we go around. That'll be spot on for me. I could do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, with things to come, as this is the final match of the Test League, things are going to be closing out, and people are probably wondering what's going to be happening for the future. Don't worry, future seasons will come, and we're going to kind of showcase the new logo around halftime. But what is coming for Alvo? Well, we got a little sneak preview here, so I'm going to shut up. We're going to have our producer run the video and enjoy the update. Here we got some gameplay of Pit. This map was designed out of the inspiration and desire from the community to have a much more close quarter combat type of map. It's very industrial based, and in fact it is designed after some of the assets you can find in the industrial map. However, you'll find a lot of these containers are different. They got some unique qualities about them, which I encourage you to go and explore. Furthermore, there's also been a cell area, a jail, if you will, on either side of the map. Now, this map has its verticality, but it's also got its close quarters. Run around these containers on the perimeter, or risk it all running through the center of the map. Take your pick. For the rest of this video, enjoy the gameplay. Now, before we head out, we're going to show you a few new added items here. I'm not going to go over every detail. You can kind of see what's taking place. Some private match options are available. Search and Destroy has a downstate, which we don't have footage for yet, but there are more options in the private matches. Also on the HUD, you'll find that there is a new UI layout. This is for the future proofing. It's a little bit cleaner, and it's going to be a little bit easier to identify those little tags or all the different menus available to you. You'll find this also in the private matches as well. So enjoy the new update. All right. So I think we are back. Folks, that was a little taste of what is to come. We have the brand new map Pit. And it's like I said in the video, it's inspired and pretty much designed for those who enjoy the close quarter combat. Now, Mick, I know that you were one person who really liked the old map of House and also Monastery. In looking at Pit and perhaps even playing it yourself, what do you think?
I love it. I only played it the other day, but the beauty of it is you've got every corner to look around. You can't. You're slamming into walls. You can't slide for more than a couple of feet. It's constant looking, stopping, peeking, controlling. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the colours. I love the running around through the cell block in the bottom, because like I say, you can jump in there, recover any sort of energy you need to get back if you've been picked off. You can hide through the little tunnels, although you can't technically slide down them unless you actually jump and slide, which I'm trying to do that as a course of going forward in that map. So I think flying through those tubes will be amazing, and get a few little bayonet, Bobby the Bayonet round the top of somebody's head coming out of those. It's a great map. I love it. It is non-stop, but there's enough cover. There's enough to keep you occupied, and like you say, on a full squad of 10, it's manic. It's great. Love it.
Yeah, and this is going to be available for free for all in Team Deathmatch. The other game modes, Hardpoint and Search and Destroy, I don't know if they're going to be coming. All I know is that at least for free for all in Team Deathmatch, they are going to be available. So be on the lookout for that. You won't be at present. I think on launch, you're not going to be able to find them in the other game modes. So just keep that in mind. But I do like it, especially that central tower. It's super cool. Trying to get up there is a task in itself, and there are 2 entry points to that central tower. But staying up there and holding that position can be kind of difficult at times. So I hope to see people contend over that. And like I said, there are a couple of cool Easter eggs. I guess Easter eggs. You'll see them scattered throughout on the containers and throughout the floors and stuff like that. So be sure to check it out and let us know your thoughts. And the new UI, from what I understand, it is kind of like I said in the video, it's future-proofing. It's going to make menu management easier, especially when things are added. And there is a downstate that is coming to Search and Destroy. That is, I couldn't get footage on that. We tried, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get it. But if you played the zombies mode, it's very akin to that. So if you want to know what that looks like, hop into zombies mode and see for yourself. But that's going to be coming to search and destroy. And it's also going to be an option that you can turn off in the private matches. So if you like the current style where it's one life, you get shot and you're eliminated, and you want to run that, you still can. The option is available to you. But if you want those extra down states to play it a little bit differently, maybe a little bit more competitively, you can turn that on.
Just make for two completely different style of gameplay. So yeah, I enjoyed both, to be honest. One thing I would say about that tower is I think for hardpoint, if you just had the actual top of the tower as hardpoint, no swapping, just absolutely just go for that. That'd be brilliant. The S&D probably too small, but I think for a hardpoint domination or whatever for that top of that tower would be incredible.
Yeah, a little King of the Hill action. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Spot on.
Well, we do have a game coming up, and we do have a bit of a announcement at the halftime show. But why don't we talk a little bit about the stats for both of these teams? Now, I'm so accustomed to reading like simpler stats, but thank goodness for Dr. Doomsday, who is competing today, actually, for Death Squad. He has been keeping tally of the stats in a far more complex way than I could ever possibly imagine. My little brain has a hard time wrapping itself around all the numbers here. But why don't we talk a little bit about that? Why don't we talk about the team stats overall that he has provided us first?
Well, I think on the team stats wise, I mean, like I say, you can delve into. I mean, this guy has gone absolute to micromanagement level of numbers, and fair play to him actually being able to keep an eye on. I mean, we struggle to look at the bloody game as it's playing. How he's managed to pull the stats off, but looking at the actual, the stats themselves, just scrolling through here, trying to make it a little bit smaller so I can read everything. Where do you want to concentrate first? Start on trauma.
Yeah. Why don't we start with trauma first, since they're the number 2 seed?
Yeah. So these looking at the actual, I mean, SND 72 to 21 is their current state of play on S&D map, which is obviously going to be the first one. Hard points. Wow. I mean, hard points is they're averaging almost double the amount of points per game to 2,300 to like 1,300 against. That is, they know how to defend. But looking again, if you look at the compare against a Death Squad, very little in it. You would probably say Death Squad maybe have a slight numerical advantage on a percentage. They're looking at probably 194% to 193% on the actual numbers. It's close. You can't separate them. Cigarette paper thickness, I think, between them two.
That's
Absolutely.
thin. That is a thin margin.
Mate, I work on thin. Just look at my hair. Terrible. S&D again, 72-21 for trauma, 72-23 for Death Squad. So again, it is minute numbers on this one. TDM, slight now then. This is where the numbers do change slightly. Trauma, 936 to 730. But Death Squad have got over 1,000 on TDM, 1,025 compared to 771 against. So you would say Trauma have got good defense, but then again, on the attacking side, you would say Death Squad would probably look to be more aggressive. But again, that's all down to locating those individuals and play again. Team, it's a team game. Communication, everything is vital on that. It's going to be so close, matey. I can't call it. I really can't. Even with the point advantage for Death Squad, I think Trauma are just going to go in all guns blazing. But you've got to be careful. Like in a football game, you push off too high, you can get caught on the counter attack. So there's got to be some interesting communication. Obviously, what their gameplay is, what these guys have been talking about, up until this game. Have they been practicing? Have they been talking of a method to counteract each other? It's my only question is, what will happen if it ends up as a draw? Does it go to penalties?
That's a good question.
If the total game is 4-3 to Trauma, what will happen? Nobody seems to know this question. Or have we not worried about it, so it happens?
The thing is that if it is going to happen, there's a likely chance that it could happen between these two teams. I think we're going to cross that bridge when we get there, because there was a little bit of confusion about what happens if there is a draw, and I suspect what they're going to do is going to play the a next round. So like a round,
Yeah.
I don't know, probably search and destroy round or something of the sort. I'm sure they will figure it out. But I'll let them cross that bridge. I'm going to stay out of that conversation because we have rules for that next season. It might be a little bit easier. So I'll let them figure that out. But
it's a test season. We're figuring things out as we go
That's
along.
right.
Do you think we pull this together in a professional manner? Don't be silly. Have you met Steve? You met Steve, the way you pull things together.
Now, yeah. This test league was run by the community, so the fact that it was run at all to the degree that it was is a lot of props to the community members who actually organized it and ran it. So it's a very tough thing to do, and I applaud their efforts. Hopefully, next season will be, I don't want to say acceptable, but hopefully everybody reads the rules and appreciate what has been learned from this season and how it's been incorporated to the new rules. Now, with regards to those stats between the two teams, they're marginally insignificant, right? Like they are, like you were saying, the point differentiation between the two is so small, so marginal that it from a scientific standpoint, if you were to look at those numbers, they would be considered insignificant. There's not a big enough difference there to really say this team is better than the other, which is why this bout is taking place, to really determine who is the superior team. Now, I know both teams are a little bit nervous in going into this match, but that's also combined with a little bit of excitement. So there's going to be a lot of adrenaline pumping. But one thing I do want to point out again is this is coming from the stats provided by Dr. Doom. In looking at the map selections are a big contention point in how the teams are going to perform. Some teams perform better than others on certain maps. And what is kind of their pattern in map choice? If we look at Death Squad, for Search and Destroy, they've run with Retreat, House Day twice, Dojo, Hangar, and then Town Day. So they've kind of run the gamut a little bit for Search and Destroy, and I think those are all appropriate, except Hangar. I think Hangar was a bit of an offshoot map, but the House, Town, Retreat, and Dojo all sound appropriate, I guess, for Search and Destroy. And if we compare that to Trauma's choices for Search and Destroy, they're almost identical, except for the fact that they chose Desert Day 3 times for Search and Destroy. So interesting choice. I think Desert Day is a very good one, particularly because it lends itself to longer matches, and 2, there's a lot more space. You have a little bit more time to think and be creative. Hardpoint, we're seeing some similarities as well with Retreat, Desert, Town, House. Town Night and Desert Night were picked by Trauma for Hardpoint as preferred maps, whereas Death Squad, they picked Industrial as kind of like their offshoot map. I would say that we don't typically see, but I think it's a great map for Hardpoint. So we'll see if they pick that tonight. And Team Deathmatch, if we look at their Town Day was picked 4 times for Death Squad. I mean, that's a lot of times that they've chosen Town.
They obviously know how to manage that one properly. As we know with Town, once you get your locations and you've nailed them down, it's virtually impossible unless you're very lucky in the spawn arrangement and getting into that, the corners where the police cars are. Once you've nailed that corner, it can be an absolute bitch to get anything out of that. So yeah, I can see why they've covered that more. But I'm surprised that it's Trauma. Don't pick it.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Their choice was Factory twice, House Day twice. They picked Desert and Dojo, but more dominantly, they've picked House and Factory, which are interesting choices for Team Deathmatch, considering that House Day, like there is kind of like a hard point type location, which is just the house, and having that control point is important. And it could possibly result in the accumulation of more eliminations. Perhaps if you can successfully hold that spot. But Factory is another one of those where it's like you have your natural hard points on that map from the office space or even from the catwalk. Like there are certain locations that you could just hold down and completely dominate. rather than it being a little bit more sporadic, like what we see in Monastery or Town, which are a little bit more open spaces with more avenues, more lanes to go down. So I don't know. I see Trauma. They seem to play to the hard point mentality where they're going to sit in one location. They're going to hold it down. They're not going to necessarily go towards you. They're going to let you come to them, and they're going to rack up those points.
I think that's what it boils down to is their game plan, is how they, they want to make it so that they control the game in a way that it's predictable. They set themselves up so then they're predictably, waiting for people to come in, waiting for those guys to drop in. Rather than being frantic and manic, there is obviously a lot of controllability on how these guys set themselves up to make it as simple as possible for them to get as many kills before being picked off. So they've obviously got that nailed very, very well. But it's going to be interesting who's winning the toss and who's going to be picking the maps and what have you. So map choice is going to be vital, absolutely vital.
I was muted. So yeah, I agree. Map choice is always a critical factor in how these games play out. It does look like they are in a lobby. I'm still waiting on another perspective to go live. I've got at least 2 of them live right now, or 2 of them active, but none of them are live. So I will let our production guy know momentarily when they do go live. But one thing I do also want to point out with what Dr. Doom has done in terms of stats, I mean, he's gone to the extent of getting player stats.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be damned if I go through all of these for you guys because there are so many here. But there are some notable players for both teams, and I want to point out these players in particular. Here we go. Let me just get a peek here. Dr. Doom, Diver, Kaiser, and NGR. Those 4 guys in particular over on Death Squad have been super critical. Kaiser in particular, with his KDR on Search and Destroy being over 2. I mean, I know Search and Destroy is an objective-based game mode, but getting those eliminations is also vital in plant success rate and also giving you that space to move and allow your team to reposition. He alone has a KDR of over 2, which is incredible. And on hardpoint,
that's superhuman.
Yeah, and on hardpoint, he has 348 to 213. So the amount of times that he's played, like he has a lot more capture point success rate than any of his other teammates. So I think of all players, like Kaiser's going to be someone to be wary of. Diver with a 1.48, same with NGR. I mean, those guys are crazy. O'Doyle's looking good as well. And when you compare that to Trauma, if we look at the stats down there, Casper is probably the most scary player, considering he has a 2.65 KDR on Search and Destroy.
Yeah.
I mean, what are these numbers? That's kind of unheard of in a competitive scene. And if you look at Mental Man, he too with the 2.7. So if those 2 are playing tonight, best beware. They are going to have their sights on you.
Yeah, they're going to be. I mean, we know how good Mental is. He's been one of the better players I've ever come across in the game. Him, Daft, Mario, when they've got the claws into you, it's bloody impossible to get away from them. It's like, sod this for a game of soldiers. I'm going to go and play Scrabble. But that's not the point. It's just, these guys have got incredible muscle memory to actually be able to ping you off so quickly. I mean, that's what it boils down to, is having that controllability of your controllers in a way that you can then basically get down that side, ping somebody off, control that weapon that you're using at the time, because obviously these guys will be jumping around. It's be great to see what weapons they were using as well. Sorry, Doob, I don't want to add any more to your workload, mate, but I think it'd be quite interesting if we really wanted to get the numbers. What actual devices are they using to pick these guys off to get the numbers? Are they sticking with the good old Proto, or they are using, are they jumping between devices? What are their loadouts? It'd be really, really good to see what they're actually running with per game as well, because obviously certain guns work better in certain maps and certain game styles. So from that point of view, but I know, like I say, when it comes to the big numbers, you know which ones you need to be looking at, and Diver, bless him, he always bitches about not having the sniper and it should have been a museum and stuff like that and what have you. But he's switched. Don't forget, he switched from PlayStation to Quest. He was a avid PlayStation AIM user. He's now obviously moved over to Quest, and it's done him no harm at all. So from that point of view, you've got to take doff your cap for a guy who's changed from a different playing style on a different format with a different type of controller. So that takes some doing. Again, muscle memory, like I use with the moves. Once you don't get that muscle memory, I hadn't played for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and honestly, I felt like jelly hands. I just couldn't get the aim right. And I went back into sorting all the bits and bobs out in the offsets. It just didn't feel right. Maybe because you've been using the PSVR 2 controllers has probably thrown my muscle memory out. So, top bananas to these guys for actually being able to still pick off players in some believable, matches that I've seen over the last few weeks. So this is going to be carnage. I can't wait. It's going to be a scrap. It's going to be an absolute scrap.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's going to be something to watch and behold. I want to give a shout out to everybody in chat who is not only here watching, Dung Beetle, Peter, Vicky, Dinko, but also to those who have been donating. Like, it's not obligatory whatsoever, but you guys have been super supportive. Dinko giving 2, 4, 600 bits, 300 by Puddles, gifted subs here by Vicky. I can't even count the number there. I mean, just the absolute craziness that you guys have supported us so far. It looks like Puddles gifted 2, 600 bits by Dinko, 300 by Puddles, 10 community gifts subs by Vicky. Then we got another 1,000 bits by Dinko, Vicky with 1,050, and then 420 with 400. Thank you all so much. It's not necessary. Appreciate you being here. And of course, I mean this from the heart. All the support is greatly appreciated, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that you have a great experience. Of course. That's beautiful. I love it.
Could have put some hearts in there. You could have put some hearts in there. It's a bit plain.
But speaking to the loadouts that you were referring to, we very often see. So Doyle is a huge Proto fan, but he has come to the realization that there are upsides to using the Trauma, aka the G36, and also the Viper. Now, I'm not a huge user of the Viper. The burst rifle is kind of like it's just not my style, right? It's definitely a top tier gun. If anything, it's like S tier level, along with, I would say, the Proto. But the G36 or the Trauma has really stood out as one of the more dominant preferred weapons to use. And I will say that amongst the Trauma team, half of them use it, and then half of them use the Viper. So those seem to be the meta weapons, whereas over on Death Squad, it's a bit of a mix between the Proto, the Viper, and the Trauma. So I think we're going to see a nice little blend there. But one bit of the loadout that I'm curious to see who uses what is in terms of the utility. And there is a much better image. Well done, Titch. That's gorgeous. Flyboy, thank you so much for the 500. Appreciate you. Dinko for the 1,000. Bless you all. I think it's really going to come down to the utility usage. We don't really see smokes at all, but what has become way more popular are the flash grenades.
You say you don't see the mollies being used as much either. They seem to have, I think, because of the slide mechanic, being able to, basically scratch your ass across the floor, so you put your flames out is an absolute must. I think, like I say, smoke grenades very minimal at the moment, but like I say, flashes seem to be taken to heart. I think they are used a lot more sparingly and at the right times as well. And I think that's what it boils down to, is actually, these guys are using them in the right time, in the right circumstances, so they get the benefit big time. So these guys have been playing a long time. These guys, they're clever instigators. They're clever team players. They'll be obviously talking to each other. Have you tried this loadout? They'll be mixing and matching as much as they can to find that loadout. Yes, I'm a big fan of the Viper because of the recoil element. You've only got that 3 burst bang, and if you aim it right, that last shot is going to be a headshot. Because if you're aiming a little bit lower down and you're aiming pretty straight, the last bullet should be a headshot. And I think that's the important element. because obviously nobody's using the sniper as much as they used to. The Viper has probably become the more the active use of those important headshots. I know I do. I was a big fan of the Proto, but I've moved away from that because I find it a little bit janky now. It's a bit feels like a Thunderbird puppet. It just feels like it's dancing on strings. It's like, oh, I can't, and it doesn't move as well. But no, like you say, it's what you're used to. It's what you get the most out of. If you run around with handguns and you're brilliant at handguns, which with the move controllers is phenomenal. Because obviously you don't get a decent range on it, and plus you run out of bullets after 3 years. So again, it's I'm probably better throwing onions or pineapple squelchers at people than using the pistols. But again, all boils down to your gameplay, your style, and your comfort level. If you want. So it's all personal preference.
I agree 100%. It does look like the match is going to be starting in a few seconds here. Search and destroy on Dojo. And based off of map preferences from what we mentioned earlier, I can only fathom a guess at who picked this one. Off of the bat, does look like O'Doyle tries to engage. Mounts Man loses that fight. We got 3 members down already for Death Squad.
The communications have got to be vital here.
Okay, 2 from one side in the dojo.
Got time.
2 in the dojo now. And from the sushi bar.
All 5 members still alive. Mental Man gets taken out. So does Daft. 2 members now out.
Oh, now then, we've got game on.
The 2 out of the alley, 1 coming out of the tunnel now, wave tunnel, and 1 back at the van.
It'd be a 2v3, NGR and Diver going up against Black, Mario, Casper, and
so they're going to be A.
Bronco.
Yep, they just planted A. Watch the van. One at the van.
We got a bomb plant.
Work around behind him, Diver.
It's going to be at A.
Yeah, get all the way behind him.
All right,
At least Casper and Bronco defending the site.
If you jump in, so he's.
Looks like NGR gets taken out. Diver, last member alive, going up against 3. And unfortunately, not able to take it. And Trauma take round number 1 on this search and destroy on Dojo. I don't want to say dominantly, because they did lose a couple of their members, but they seem to be fairly confident in that exchange.
They're setting the stall out pretty early.
They spawn at B again.
We'll have to see if Death Squad play as aggressively as we saw in that first round, or if they're going to hang back.
With them caught so early in that first exchange, I think they're going to have to
play that
left, on the left. Monkey approach.
Yeah, they were able to pick a couple off
nice. 1 on the bike we need
from Trauma. And now we got a 2v3 situation once again, but this time Trauma with a deficit, but it looks like the tables are turning. Diver left all alone once again.
1 left. Diver is the
1
last
against 2. Bomb's been planted at A.
Just stay the position.
Now he has to keep in mind where
He's
other 2 may be laying in wait.
No, he's
He's
looking.
got to keep his eyes open.
What double side?
Left gate.
Dojo.
Checking the corners is imperative right now.
Moving.
No,
Staying
still.
left. Is that
Electro box.
Grenade.
Grenade a little high. Not able to get the elimination. He gets taken out. Trauma taking another win.
Yeah,
And these are critical because they are on the offense.
Yeah.
So getting some attack wins could result in an overall win on Search and Destroy.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
Death Squad have really got to do sit back and actually lick some wounds and say, look guys, we've got to maybe change the plan slightly. I don't think they were completely outgunned. Because they've not been completely hammered, but just not getting the advantage when needed. Need to get the numbers back in play.
Yeah, getting the follow through at the end there to get the final eliminations. Here's O'Doyle running in to Restaurant, taking one out, but in the process, his teammate NGR is eliminated as well, and it seems as though his teammates keep dropping like flies.
Kaiser, rampant. Got him. Nice.
Trauma looking to get an early plant here at A again.
Going zigzag.
V2.
2 alive.
Yeah, 1 at zigzag, 1 at bamboo, pushing tunnel.
I got him.
Like Mario taking out O'Doyle there. And 1v3, and once again, Diver, the surviving member, not able to take out those last 3. And Trauma take the entire attack sweep. With the lead 3-0.
Yeah, should we push?
Yeah.
These are
we
not
push.
long games either, which is probably the most surprising element.
What are we doing? Staying together, right?
Already there.
Obviously,
Already
the
B. Watch out.
Roma are just looking to wipe them all out as soon as possible.
Got one. Got middle.
Doyle and Kaiser getting quick early eliminations here on Trauma.
Shield the spot if we can. I'm gonna run across. You gotta get up.
I like their approach. Nice and slow, tactical, good communication back and forth.
Yeah.
Flash. A flash.
Here's a flash grenade, exactly what we were talking about before.
With you.
I'm red. I can't
Good.
peek,
So we try to
peek up
push.
yet.
All right, Kaiser, I'm
I
going.
like the use of the flash, but you've got somebody going in, going across, and then somebody holding back, and then coming across again.
Oh, Doyle's
3 down.
breaching the restaurant, getting 2 eliminations here.
One's over at the restaurant.
Could
Y'all
be
go
to
the
that
other way.
sunshine.
Okay.
Nice.
And they
Doyle's
get,
mad.
and they get the win. And it's a flawless victory. No one on their team died.
Ow.
I don't know what's more surprising, the fact that they got a win despite the knowledge that they were pushing a restaurant,
All right. Let's go.
or that it's a complete
We're going together.
ace.
I think more than likely that was down to them actually saying let's hang back and work as a team, because at the end of the day they've got to move in and out those spaces as a team unit. You can't go in as a single. No, they were dropping in, somebody covering, somebody reloading, somebody dropped a flash in, somebody dropped a grenade in. They just kept them on the offensive. So well done to them.
Ah, shit. One's top straight
Alvo
back from
truck,
here, you know,
Alvo
we're
truck.
Well, as this round
Just around
progresses,
right
You're 2 against 3.
does look like it's a bit even, although Death Squad does have a player advantage. Black Mario and Bronco
Nice.
able to take one member out. There goes Kaiser. 2v2.
I think one is in the
Death Squad in
tunnel
desperate
of the
need of another
door.
victory to keep it within range.
Yeah, they can't let them get away. They can't let them get away.
One's Alvo truck moving around noodles.
Yeah, they're
Two
coming
of
into
them
you,
there.
Here
Mario.
comes the breach onto restaurant.
So
Sorry,
I'll
that
support
was
Mario
Grenade
now.
Oh, left and right.
You got a grenade? Throw it now.
It does look like Daft
I
gets
got one.
taken out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bronco just went.
So NGR.
NGR
is-
versus Bronco.
Pushing
Coming
in
in
the
now.
restaurant.
Coming in now.
Coming to tunnel. Nice.
And Trauma getting a win there. Score now 4-1. Now,
I was a little bit more cagey. A little bit more cagey.
for those who don't know, it's going to be a 1st to 6. So there's possible 11 rounds that we could have here. So there's still plenty of time. Still plenty of time for Death Squad to come back, but this is not a good feel when you're down by 3 and you've lost your second attack attempt.
Let them make the mistake.
The bottom of the restaurant.
So they're trying to do a very similar
They're down by the Jeep, by the van.
attack on the first one, just holding that dojo front rear door to the restaurant.
Now they're giving them intel, so they know what we're doing.
Gotta be wary of those incoming grenades. And the flashes also seem to be plentiful, as we saw those early on from Trauma.
Oh, no, nobody's watching our back. Damn.
Hold on. Oh. Got Mario. Metal.
Too quiet. It's too quiet. There's not enough action.
They're waiting for
Nice.
something to happen. They're waiting for Trauma to make an error, and we've seen that happen here with Daft Bomb being the only member alive. One member eliminated from Death Squad, which is Kaiser. They're going in for this final elimination. They're able to get it, and Death Squad is back on the board once again, decreasing the difference to 2. They look very strong there, but now they're going to flip back to defense, and we'll see if they can hold off this crazy Trauma attack as they struggle in the first 3 rounds already. See if they've learned anything from those 3 rounds and maybe change up their strategy here.
This is going to be make or break. Whoever wins this is going to have the advantage. There's no doubt about that.
I got the back side.
Death Squad can make this
Down there.
4v or a 3
Get the
game.
gate.
I think they might sneak it.
They're going to have to learn, though, that Trauma has historically gone towards A site. So hopefully they are keeping their eyes pinned to that A site.
Should I go for it?
Yeah.
They got to play this very, very cautiously because Trauma will play the long-range game with them. And if I were to,
Electro box.
you know,
So
bet
I
a
try
guess
to
here,
flag them.